Hi, and welcome to Linking Contact Center and Marketing Data for Enhanced Customer Insight, a one-to-one webinar sponsored by Neustar. I'm Tom Hoffman at One-to-One Media, and I'll be the moderator for today's event, where we'll examine the benefits of sharing customer data between the contact center and marketing to optimize the customer experience, increase customer satisfaction, and maximize customer value. Our speakers today are Martha Rogers, Ph.D., founding partner at Peppers & Rogers Group. Also with us is Mike Young, Senior Director of Business Operations at Comcast. We're also joined by Xavier Riley, Vice President of Product Management at Neustar. Martha, Mike, and Xavier, thanks so much for joining us today.
Great to be here.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Before I review the full agenda, let's take a walk through the On24 interface to help familiarize our attendees with the platform. First, please be sure to turn off your pop-up blockers to enable interactive features. To download a copy of today's slides, please click on the green resource widget. If you have a question for one of our presenters, please click on the red Q&A widget, then type in your question and hit submit. If you encounter any technical issues during the webinar, please click on the Help button that's located at the center of the toolbar. To learn more about our featured speakers, please click on the blue Speaker Bios tab in the lower right-hand corner of the toolbar. And also, feel free to tweet about today's webinar using the hashtag that's shown here. Now for today's agenda. In this webinar, our presenters will provide insights on the following. We'll examine different ways that the contact center can benefit from using customer data that's gathered by sales and marketing, and vice versa. We'll also explore the reasons why providing customers with personalized and relevant experiences is a critical component for obtaining customer trust. We'll also share best practices for applying the right technologies to identify inbound callers and automatically match them with transactional and enterprise data. During our webinar, we'll also share key findings from a Neustar one-to-one media research study. Mike Young will share with us how Comcast is benefiting from linking inbound callers to its CRM system. And then finally, we'll look at the business and operational performance gains that can result from having a robust customer identification strategy. And this will be followed by an audience Q&A with our speakers. So if you think about it, from the moment that they connect with a company's contact center, customers share a huge amount of information with us. This includes customers' preferences and needs, but not only regarding the type of support they might be looking for, but also regarding the products and services that they either use or would like to see from a company. With customers increasingly expecting personalized experiences from the companies that they choose to do business with, customer data provides contact centers with a tremendous opportunity to identify customers immediately and then tailor the experience to their exact needs, which ultimately will strengthen the customer experience and also result in improvements such as first call resolution, gains in customer satisfaction, and also improvements in loyalty. The insights that customers share with contact center agents about their interests and needs can also be used by marketing product development to better understand what customers are looking for and how best to deliver it to them. Both the contact center and marketing can benefit from sharing customer data in different ways. So for instance, agents who are equipped with information about a customer's transaction history, their lifetime value, and say recent sentiments that a customer has shared about a company's products or services can then use these insights to provide more personalized and relevant support. Meanwhile, marketing can draw upon customer feedback that's shared in contact center interactions to identify things like new product or service opportunities. Unfortunately, too many companies are missing out on terrific opportunities to leverage customer data more fully between the contact center and marketing, usually due to siloed issues. According to a survey that was conducted by Neustar and One-to-One Media, nearly half of companies don't use computer telephony integration to match inbound phone numbers to their CRM data. So as a result, this prevents these companies from being able to identify customers who call into the contact center, and it certainly prevents them from personalizing the customer experience. So to make the most of this gold mine of customer information that's available to contact centers and marketing, companies need the right technologies that can enable them to identify inbound callers and then automatically match them with transactional and other enterprise data that's available. Companies that are sharing and leveraging this kind of information today are able to provide their customers with more personalized and relevant experiences that, again, ultimately can strengthen the customer relationship, drive higher satisfaction and loyalty, and in the end, generate improved business performance. So at this point, I'm going to turn the discussion over to Martha, who will share with us her insights on the business benefits of creating a customer-centric strategy. Martha?
Thanks so much, Tom. I love watching this stuff because I think that everything you've said is exactly right. And it really makes me think about the science behind all this stuff. And I bring up science because I raised two boys, and we spend a lot of time on the Science Channel. And I want you to imagine for a minute, Tom, that you're a food source for bees. That means instead of being a big, strong, strapping man, as you are, you would, in fact, be a flower. If you were a flower, then if you had beautiful colors and you had a very nice smell, then any bee would come from within a 2-mile radius to have a look at you and to check you out and see whether or not you'd be a good thing. But that bee is only going to go back to the hive and do the waggle dance that they showed us on the Science Channel if the nectar that you offer in your flower is really, really good. Now, in case you're wondering why we're bringing all this up, there's a good reason, and that is this. In the era before communication among customers, then advertising was what mattered. And so that meant that we had to try to figure out what customers wanted as a big group and then try to send the right message out about ourselves, and what we said about ourselves is what mattered the most. So, but now we're living now in a world in which customers all talk to each other. And in a world in which customers communicate with each other, then it's really the customer experience that counts. So we can't just have pretty colors and a good smell. We've got to have a really, really delicious nectar that's going to help the bees make great food. And that means we're going to have to produce a great customer experience so that they'll all go back and say wonderful things to each other all the time. And that comes from the fact that we are now living in a world in which we understand that our business is no longer just about the products that we sell, but that customer strategy is really about building the value of the company by building the value of the customer base. Think about it. There's really no other way to build the value of the company. If you think about it, the only source of income we have is the customers we have now and the ones we're going to have tomorrow, because products don't pay us money and brands don't pay us money, and none of the other stuff that we work on so hard all day, every day, none of that pays us money. Only customers, by definition, pay us money. And so if we're going to grow our company, we're only going to grow it if we're able to build the value of the customer base. So we have to ask ourselves all the time, what business are we really in? And if it were 10 or 15 years ago, we could name the products that we're making and be in that product business. But these days, that doesn't make as much sense anymore. So there have been some companies that have really started questioning that. So, for example, a company we worked with in Australia named Orica, here's what they do for a living. They make explosives, and they sell them to the mining companies. And they used to just sell the explosives and take some money and hope their clients didn't, blow themselves up. But now what they do is they say, gosh, we have experience all over the world helping these clients get the rock out of the ground that they want to get out, and we know how to do that really well, and we even know how to help with the environmental protection forms that all the governments require. Tell you what, you give us some money and we will help produce broken rock of a certain size, which is really what their clients want anyway. So they're not in the explosives business anymore. They're in the broken rock of a certain size business. That's much more about partnerships and less about price and matters a lot more to their clients and to them. Eneco is a company based in the Netherlands. They used to be called Nutsbedrijf Usland, and so I'm really glad they changed their name because I can't spell the other name for this slide. But at any rate, Eneco sells natural gas. I can't even think of a more boring product than that. There's nobody in the world who wakes up in the morning and says, wow, today's the day I get to go pick out new natural gas. So if you're Eneco and you want to keep the most valuable customers, first of all, you identify them. They're the companies that are selling all the flowers, so they have big greenhouses. And instead of just selling them natural gas and taking some money and being in the natural gas business, Eneco realizes that what these clients want is to control the entire environment inside those greenhouses. So they now actually help think about not just the temperature in the greenhouse, but also about the carbon dioxide content, the humidity, and they have remote monitoring devices now to keep all that straight and even sell insurance. And you know, if you think about that, that's no longer just the natural gas business, which is certainly price-driven, but instead now is in the very highly relational, high partnership, environment protection, environment control business. And that's really a completely different business to be in. Or think about Tesco. You know, they're the company in the UK that took over a bunch of grocery stores, but they started really thinking about their individual customers. And so they use the information about individual shopping baskets tied to individual customers to send out mailing pieces every quarter, and those mailing pieces come in as many million versions as there are customers. So they're very tailored, they're mass customized, and these guys generate 100 million pounds a year more than they would otherwise because of these very, very tailored mailing pieces, and that's just one of the ways that they use data about customers to think about the business that they're in. So they're not just in the grocery business, they're in the helping you figure out what you need for your household next business. They're in the household needs business. Now that new definition means that customers are much less likely to go someplace else and think about joining another club or anything like that. They're going to do more of their business at Tesco. So what business are we really in has a lot to do with what are our customers looking for from us, and how are we using data to help give it back to each of them in a meaningful way. So that brings up the question that we should be asking ourselves every single day. What business are we in? Because if it's the name of the product business, we're going to be fighting a price-driven commodity or commoditization before long. But if we are in the helping the client get a better deal for his life or his business, then we have a chance of actually making a profit and making everybody win. So let's ask this question. What is the difference between a company that puts products first and a company that is truly customer-centric? It's not enough to be customer-centric just to say, oh, we are polite to our customers now and we answer the phone faster and we do all those other things. That's good. That provides better customer service. But, sort of random acts of kindness in various customer care areas is not the same as being truly customer-centric, and I can prove it to you. Think about this. Back in the mid-'90s, the folks from Barnes & Noble, some of the executives, took Jeff Bezos to lunch, Jeff Bezos being the guy, of course, who founded Amazon.com. And he was still in the middle of losing money for 7 consecutive years, 28 consecutive quarters. And they were going to do him a favor and buy Amazon.com before they launched their own online bookstore, BarnesandNoble.com, with what was then a much stronger brand. And he said, with all respect, thank you, no, I think I'll stay with what I'm doing. And if you look at the way things are now, their worth at Barnes & Noble is just over $1 billion in market cap. But Bezos's Amazon.com is over $118 billion in market cap. So that's the difference between a very well-run Barnes & Noble product-centric company and a pretty well-run, very customer-centric company, which is Amazon. Amazon has a customer, you, me, the next guy, and they're just trying to find the next product and the next for each of these customers. They want to sell me everything. They want to sell you everything. And so they've got customers. They're trying to find products for that customer, unlike what many product-centric companies do, which is we've got products, we're trying to find customers for those products. So I will tell you something. I buy everything from Amazon. I live in Manhattan, and I bought a refrigerator from Amazon.com, had it delivered and installed by them as well. So that's true customer centricity. They're just trying to figure out how to make it work. So this sounds like something that is a way of doing business that we see all over the world. There's a way of doing business in Japan, for example, that's called Toyama no Kosuri Uri. And one of the companies practicing this sells house-to-house medical supplies. They actually put in a medicine cabinet in your home, and they come around and they stock it with what every household needs from the drugstore and all the basic stuff. And then they come around every so often, and they take note of what you've used and replace it. And they use records for this, which they keep in a database called a Daifukucho. And by keeping track of what your household is using, they might realize, well, you need more stomach remedies, so they offer you more choices in this, but you don't seem to get colds in your household. So they start, not offering you quite so many things in that. So they really tailor it to your household. It's very one-to-one. But what's interesting about this company is that they started business around 1750. So they've been practicing this kind of business for over 2.5 centuries. And what's interesting about this is not only that they've got families in Japan that have been the customers of this company for 250 years or more, that it's the fact that the products inside those cabinets have changed tremendously over those years. But the customers have remained the same, generation after generation of customers who trust this company to know what they need and to give it to them in a fair way. That's pretty remarkable if you think about it. Now, we need to know a lot of stuff about customers, and it really boils down to the kinds of things that will help us serve them better and will help us allocate our own resources to them appropriately. That means that we need to learn to treat different customers differently because they are all different. And to the extent that we can use the information that we have about them to treat each of them differently, the way they want, need, and the way that works for us as well, then we're actually able to make each of them more valuable to us by becoming constantly more valuable to them. So if you think about it, customers are different in two important ways. Each of these has a whole family of data underneath it, but essentially it comes down to customers having different values to us, both now and projected for the future, and they all also have different needs from us. And if we can use data to understand those different needs, then and the different values, then we can allocate resources to different customers properly, and we can offer them exactly what they need when they need it, making ourselves more valuable to them and therefore them more valuable to us. Let me give you an example or two. Think about this. The needs that customers have, they're not the same as product features and benefits, because customer needs are characteristic of a customer, not the same way that product characteristics are characteristic of a product. But you have to see the company from the customer's perspective. What are they here looking for? Because if we just define a customer by what he's buying from us, then we might see two customers who buy the same thing as having the same needs. And we know from experience of research that that just isn't necessarily the case. So there's a classic study from the 80s about why women, at least in the United States, buy a dishwasher. And it turns out that there are a number of women who buy a dishwasher because they think that's going to make their lives a lot easier. And there's another group of women who buy a dishwasher purely because it shows that they, in their generation, made it. Their mothers had to wash their dishes by hand, but they are able to have a dishwasher, and that shows that they are in the middle class, and that's really great. But there's also a large group of women who sort of figured out that the difference between a kitchen that has a dishwasher and a kitchen that doesn't is that the kitchen with the dishwasher doesn't show the dirty dishes. They're still there, but they're hidden in the dishwasher. So what's the real difference between a kitchen with a dishwasher and one without? Well, the kitchen without the dishwasher has the dirty dishes piling up in the sink and on the counter, and the kitchen with the dishwasher, they're piling up inside the dishwasher, and you don't have to look at them. Now, if you know which woman you're talking to, then you know whether to show her a picture of your dishwasher in a very clean kitchen, say, or in a picture of a family that sort of made it, or of a picture of a woman who's enjoying her leisure because she's got an easier life because she has a dishwasher. So we need to know why women buy particular things or why men do. I mean, it just makes sense. And what it means is we're going to look for ways to change our behavior toward customers based on what we have learned about them. Now, there's one word for that, and that's customize. It can be, for some companies, a very scary word, but it really is about customization. And so think about it. We may not be able to customize the product, but we can certainly customize service, whether it's the delivery of the installation or the way we follow up and check on things, or maybe we're able to suggest the next thing, or we're looking for opportunities for automatic replenishment, or maybe at least we can customize the communication. So we can build communities of customers. We can drive customers to the web if that works for a particular man or woman. We can personalize messages. We can individualize the complaint response, which also gives us a chance to answer it not only at the level of investment that makes sense at our end, but solves the problem the best way for the customer. Now, think about this for a second. If you can't customize the product, that doesn't mean that you just can't do this, that you can't engage in this kind of customization. So let's look at these three boys. It turns out that Lego, I hope everybody remembers Lego building toys from when we were all little kids. Legos count mostly boys, a growing number of little girls, who are their customers. And their very best customers are the top 5% of those little boys. And they account for about 50% of all Lego's profits. So it's very important that Lego really understand those top 5% of little boys. So let's look at three little boys, and maybe they all want the same product. And that product, let's say, is a Star Wars, one of those big Star Wars sets. But it turns out that it's worth it to dig a little deeper and find out why each of these three boys wants that set differently. So maybe they're meeting different needs. For example, it turns out that these are three different boys. One of them is a role player. And if we know that he's a role player and that he wants to build a set so that he can, bring Star Wars to life for himself, then the next thing we offer him might be costumes or, lightsabers or storybooks and movies and stuff like that, and that makes it really work for him. But the second little boy buys the same thing, but for a different reason. He's a constructor. He wants to be able to build something that's big and challenging. So if I know that and I'm Lego, then I'm able to say to him, gosh, I know all the sets you have because we communicate a lot and we interact. And so here's the diagram and the instructions for a really big, challenging thing that you can make because you have multiple sets. And maybe there's a third little boy, and he is a creator. And he might want additional sort of randomized pieces that you can't get anywhere. The reason that he wanted this was because it has so many interesting pieces, and he's not even going to build what came in the set. He's just going to build whatever he wants. He'll throw the directions away. So the point is that he wants if we know what these kids need, then we know what to do for them. Now, why is that important? Because every time we want to maximize a customer's value, the first thing we have to do is look at that customer's data, figure out how to become more relevant to that customer. And we do that by anticipating what a customer needs. Because think about it, we figure out what a customer needs, and we meet those needs better than any competitor who doesn't know what we know. That's the advantage of being the incumbent, of already having this customer as our customer. And that means that we want to be able to take this customer's point of view, and we're going to be able to use it. Let me give you a perfect example of that. A company that anticipates customers. ING in Europe, I think, does a terrific job. And if you go to the ATM, for example, in Europe, to the ING ATM, and you ask to withdraw cash, and you don't have enough, say you want 400 euros, but you only have 240 euros in your account, then they will, of course, give you the 240 euros with a little notice that you don't have the rest of it. And many banks would just stop right there. But ING says, gosh, this person standing in front of our ATM must have additional needs. They probably need a credit line offer. And so they immediately calculate that, check to make sure you're creditworthy, and then based on whether you want it in the mail or whether you want it on your text or mobile or whether you want it online, maybe an email, however you want to hear from them, then they're going to immediately contact you with a credit line offer. And ever since they've been doing this, by the way, they get a positive response rate better than 50%, 50%. Now compare that to what would happen if they were just a regular old product-oriented company where there's somebody who's in charge of sending out periodic mailings to everybody, offering them response rates and hoping for a 0.5% response rate from the entire customer base. But instead, going after, based on what we know about individual customers, going after the ones we know need it and going after it when they need them. So that means that we are really in a position to do something for customers that nobody else can do. We can act in the customer's best interest, which builds that relationship, builds it through trust. Let me give you an example. Back to Amazon.com. You know, I have a Kindle, and people are all the time making suggestions of books I should read, and sometimes I get to read them right away, and sometimes I pile them on the Kindle, and I hope to read them later. And sometimes I put a book on a Kindle, and then a year later I'll put that same book on there again, even though I haven't been able to read it yet because somebody mentioned it, and I forgot that it was on there before. Amazon will send me a notice that says, Martha, we're happy to put that on there again, but you know, you already have this book on your Kindle, so are you sure you want another copy? And I say, thanks, guys. Thanks for saving me from myself. I wouldn't even blame them if they, you know, if I ordered it again and I paid it again, it would be my boneheaded mistake. They're protecting me. So, gosh, why would I even want to buy books any other way? This is them looking out for me. They forego, you know, that $9, but they get all my business because they're using to my benefit the information that they have about me, just which books I've had before. So that kind of thing means that there are a lot of opportunities at all kinds of levels. If we can really think about that customization idea, especially mass customization, which is even less scary. But Irish Life, for example, before a client meeting, the company's CRM system produces a customized recommendation and report, and as a result, the people who generate those, the agents who do that, and then have the meetings with their clients, are actually have raised the likelihood of buying 4 times because they're actually talking to customers about what's really, really, really relevant for them. Here's the ultimate point of this discussion. The company that does not use the information that it has about customers has no advantage over the company that does not have information about customers. So the real secret here is, how do we use the information that is even automatically coming in, never mind collecting additional information? How do we monitor that interactivity? And how do we do it in a way that is more relevant and more trustworthy and builds that kind of relationship with customers that becomes very, very valuable to us because it becomes so valuable to customers? So let's think about what we might want to do now. First of all, let's begin every problem-solving discussion by asking, what would be most in the customer's best interest here? Yes, we know that we're, many of us, operating for profit, and if we're not operating for profit, we're a nonprofit organization, we still have to fool with budgets and stuff, and so we understand that that's an issue, but at the same time, the way we're going to build our own value is by operating in the customer's interest, and we have to make that part of the discussion, not just how we can make the technology work better or whether or not we can get a better deal on our products. We also want to think about assessing the metrics of success, not just by current period profits or sales, but what do we know about each customer's long-term value and what makes those go up and down, and who's responsible for that within our organization? We've got people who are responsible for all kinds of pieces of the organization. Who's responsible for whether the value of customers goes up or down? Because that is where we really get our community value. And then we also have to put ourselves in the customer's shoes, maybe listening in on random inbound phone calls from customers and making sure the employees actually feel good about working for us. They love working for a company that is treating customers well. And, you know, one way to do that is to mystery shop the company. But the point behind all of these is this: use customer data to help the customers and, therefore, to help ourselves. Or think about it this way: what is our purpose? If our goal is to sell more stuff to customers, to think about being in the product business, then sooner or later we are going to compete on price. But if our goal is to add value to our customers' lives, to make business customers more successful, to make consumer customers have better lives, then we will end up selling more stuff. And that's really the point. So I'm about to hand it off to Xavier from Neustar, but before I do, I want to ask everybody here an important question to think about. While we're talking, it may seem as though all this stuff is really hard, and that if we were going to do this stuff, it would be really difficult to make it happen. But let me ask about the alternative. Let me ask this. If it is hard, then what if you're on the other side? What if you're a competitor? What if you were starting a brand new business today? How would you compete with your own organization for the best customers by using the data about those customers to win them away and keep them in a relationship that would beat your own organization? So I want to hand it off now to Xavier at Neustar. I'm really looking forward to hearing everything he has to say, because he's talking about how the tools are going to help make this work. So Xavier, no pressure, but please take it away.
Thanks, Martha. I hope everybody can see the slides okay. We'll now explore in a little more detail the Neustar Account Link solution for the call center. Before we get into the solution, let's discuss in a little detail what brought us to its evolution. Enterprises need access to reliable third-party data in order to keep up with constantly changing consumer information. Data delay is a huge issue. You need to ensure that your information is accurate, complete, and up-to-date so that you feel confident with making the best possible decisions strategically and in real time when interacting with a customer. But doing so is a big problem. Just how big is the data explosion change? Every year, many customers change at least one piece of contact information on themselves, whether it be their name, address, phone, wireless phone, email, etc. Over the course of a year, the bulk of the U.S. customer record information will change. So many of the records you have that are accurate at the beginning of a year will be inaccurate by the end of the year. Plus, publicly available information has declined from 78% of the U.S. household in 2000 to 30%, roughly 30% today. Cord cutters, the decline in print directories, and opt-out functionality has contributed to that. Almost 40 million of the U.S. households are mobile phone only, therefore they're generally not published. So how do enterprises keep information and analytic insight on their customers up to date and accurate with the velocity of data, its constant change, and the diminishing access to public information? We provide our clients with instant access to data and analytics, providing actionable insights that dramatically improve decision making. Neustar is the first real-time cloud-based information service and analytics provider enabling clients to effectively promote and protect their businesses. We started it all to continue to shape the industry today. We are pioneers of real-time cloud-based information service and analytics. By using our unique authoritative data combined with your information, we help inform high-value decisions about your customers. We deliver actionable analytics so you can make high-value decisions. We uncover insights for our clients, making complex problem-solving easier for marketeers, IT, and operations professionals through our suite of complete cloud-based workforce solutions. And everything we do is done in real time, one customer interaction at a time. Let's dive into Account Link. Account Link works in conjunction with your IVR to enrich the customer experience. The primary goal of most IVR systems is to route a customer to the desired destination and or provide information. This is accomplished by using two items that it has at its disposal, the customer's phone number and the database, the CRM solution. In the example, the caller has called into the call center with their mobile. The IVR attempts to retrieve the customer's information via the mobile number. Unfortunately, that relationship does not exist within most CRM databases. Normally, this would result in the customer being prompted to enter additional information to retrieve their account or being routed to a live agent to handle the remainder of that call, which takes time, and time equals money. With Account Link, the mobile number is sent to Neustar, where our authoritative data links it to the household with the client CRM data. The account information or other information is returned to the IVR in milliseconds. Account Link allows more informed actions to be taken by the IVR and ultimately a better experience for the customer. Account Link enables better customer identification. the system can also provide additional information or intelligence back to the IVR. As an example, scoring, based upon Neustar's analytics, information can be returned that provides an indication of a customer's potential lifetime value, propensity to churn, buying power score, just to name a few. With Account Link, information captured on other channels like the web can be leveraged or actioned within the call center. Information from your CRM database, customers' actions online combined with Neustar scoring can ensure the correct message is delivered to the right customer. Let's see here. All right. Finally, Neustar's Account Link system helps solve various issues within the call center. However, the value it brings to management is efficiencies, KPI improvements, and increases in customer satisfaction. Tracking key performance indicators within the call center is what we do. That is our measure of success. When we can improve these measures or make our call center more efficient, this translates to real savings. Next, I'd like to invite Mike Young from Comcast to discuss his experience with Account Link and the implementation of that solution. Mike?
Thank you, Xavier. All of the great reasons both you and Martha outlined are exactly why Comcast began looking at Account Link last year. Initially, our goal was just to improve IVR authentication rates by leveraging Account Link data to supplement billing system records. At a high level, we looked at the database, and there were 2.5 many times as phone numbers when we compared to our traditional CRM systems, and this really piqued our interest. IVR success rate really starts with customer authentication. Knowing who you are opens up all self-help options in the IVR, giving customers additional choices. Basic items like paying your bill, resetting your equipment, they're only available if we know who you are. If the customer still needs to speak to an agent, it's extremely important we pass all that rich information that was gathered in the IVR along with the phone call. Again, that data is only available if we can authenticate you. Items like equipment health check, financial status of the account, all of these things are part of the authentication process. Routing accuracy is another very important metric. As customer segmentation continues to grow, it's extremely important we understand the type of service you have along with any preferences. These are critical to matching both agents and customers. Number of case studies we looked at actually shows that many times customers simply don't remember what phone number is on their account. If they don't get it right by the second attempt, many times they hit 0 for agent assistance. By the time they get to an agent, they're frustrated, and many times that agent has to transfer the caller once they actually know who the caller is. So again, I think the 3 pieces for us were improved IVR resolution rates, customer information to agents, and routing accuracy. All of these things really benefit and begin once a customer is authenticated. So for us, at a high level, I think we framed up the opportunity and we really had to take a deeper look. So evaluation was really easy. We simply sent no match data over to Neustar Targus, and they sent us back a file saying this is how many customers that you could not match in your traditional CRMs that we could. The results were really compelling. So of the unidentified callers that we were not able to match, they were actually able to match 60% of them. So again, I think very compelling. So from there, we moved over towards integration. Integration is a standard web service call to their platform. We were able to integrate to their platform in less than a month, so it was very fast. The pilot that we set up showed an improvement in identification rate of 2.5%. It was much higher than the initial business case where we were looking for 1%. So really, once we had pilot data, we looked at the opportunity across the entire company and negotiated a national contract. Really felt like we could have deployed across the entire company in 6 to 8 months. It ended up taking us about a year, but a lot of that was the number of IVR platforms that we have inside our company. So for us, we were able to get it implemented very quickly. So roughly a 2.5% improvement in overall IVR authentication. So for Comcast, again, millions of dollars were saved. many happy customers, many streamlined experiences. Really everything that we were out to get, and I think there were a number of additional improvements that we didn't expect. So absolutely saw improvements in IVR resolution rate, CTI information passed to agents, so customer information passed. Success rates were higher than ever, and we reduced time spent that our customers spent in the IVR. So really everything that we were looking for, we received.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Mike. That was terrific. And I really like how you were able to match, how you're able to match customers with the services that they use and the equipment that they have in place to really demonstrate to customers when you're on the phone with them that you know who they are, and to make that experience so much more personal with them. So at this point, we'd like to jump into the audience Q&A with our presenters. But before we do, just a few reminders. If you'd like a PDF copy of the deck, click on the Download Presentation button at the bottom center of your screen. And if you've missed part of the presentation, or if you'd like to share it with a colleague, all attendees will receive an email with a link to the archived version. I'd like to remind everyone again about the survey that's posted during the Q&A period. Please take a moment to participate. Again, to do so, you'll need to turn off your pop-up blockers to enable the survey. So let's jump into the Q&A. To ask a question, please click on the Submit Question button in the lower left-hand section of your presentation window. And if we don't get to your question today, we'll email you with a response. So, Xavier, this first question is for you. And the question is, what do you find are the biggest challenges that Neustar clients and prospects are facing in gaining a deeper understanding of customers and then making this information actionable?
Okay, Tom. As we discussed earlier, with the rapid pace at which data is growing and changing, just understanding who is on the other side of the interaction is a benefit. When we begin to layer on additional information or intelligence about the caller, at that point it really becomes actionable. When we can add on some segmentation to better place that user or that customer into a particular segment or group. We can add some scoring or other analytics to the call within real time to provide extra information for the IVR or our client to take better or more actions.
Okay, thanks. Xavier, there's a related question that was submitted, but I want to make sure that I ask it so that it is answered, and it's this. Does Neustar also provide segmentation schemes, or does the client have to incorporate those?
That's a great question, Tom. Neustar absolutely does offer its own segmentation scheme. Our service, our segmentation, our analytics platform called Element One can work in conjunction with Account Link in real time, offering back that sort of segmentation information back to the call center, or the platform can be actioned on its own. If the person that asked the question would like more information, I'd be happy to talk with them in more detail.
Okay, thanks. So, Mike, we also have a question for you as well. And the question is this. Can you offer some recommendations to our attendees on how to get started with these efforts? What are some of the things that you learned along the way that you would pass along?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, perform your analysis up front. It's very easy. You should be able to send customers that you're unable to authenticate, send that information over to Account Link and have them return that to you. So do the analysis up front, find an area to start with a pilot, start small, and then once you showcase the benefit, build on it. Be conservative with your business case, and under-promise and over-deliver. That was really the methodology that we used, and it worked very well.
Mike, this question also came in based on what you'd shared with us before. Can you share with us some of the lessons that you were able to learn from the pilot data that Comcast was able to receive?
Yeah, so again, we actually, authentication is a core KPI for us in the IVR, so it's pretty easy. Once you turn on the web service call, you can actually just watch authentication rate and trend that. We did look at target-specific matches, but absolutely, it's typically just a standard KPI, and it's something that you can measure and monitor very easily. We did look at some customer experience improvements, so customers that call in from a phone number that we were able to identify without them entering information. So there was also an experience play. But you're really able to do the majority of those things through standard IVR KPIs.
Okay, got it. Thanks. So Xavier, this next question is for you. This person writes in that the majority of their contacts are one-time callers about a particular consumer product that they offer. Does the Neustar technology apply if they have no previous information in their CRM system about a new consumer?
That's a great question. We actually get that question quite a bit from our current customers for Account Link. And yes, we do. We can append additional information about what we know about the caller within Account Link. So if the caller calls in and we look within your CRM database and we find nothing, we can look within our data stores and pass back information that we may have about that particular phone number or customer.
Okay, thanks. Mike, another attendee asks, how does Comcast differentiate when a caller is a family member versus the actual account owner, and what does it do with that information on the call?
Really, we just tie it to customer household, so we haven't really gotten down to a personal experience yet. I think it's something that we're working towards. At this point, everything is really geared towards the information we have about the household. So it would be the type of products and services that are associated to the household.
Okay, great. Thank you. Martha, we have a question that came in for you. You had mentioned how Amazon proactively notifies its customers to make sure they're not mistakenly ordering the same books or products that they'd previously ordered. Can you cite examples of other companies that use customer data to provide these types of proactive services that can build trust?
That's a great question. We've got a terrific audience that's thinking of these questions. I also want to tell Mike that I so wish that I could get his Comcast service where I live. And I think everybody on this call knows where I live, and you know what I'm probably stuck with. But I'd love to be able to trade it in for a Comcast and people who are trying to do the good job you are and have the kind of tools that Xavier is providing you with. So, Tom, to your question or to the audience question here about Amazon, and being proactive about customers. You know, there's a bank that's started up in New York called Ally Bank. It used to be GMAC. And their philosophy is that they want to be proactive. Now, it's very easy for them to be responsive as well. So, for example, you go to their website. It's a direct web-based bank. And if you go to their website, every single page has a way to get to a human being by phone and by voice. I've had to do it a couple of times as a customer, and they do a great job. But they are very proactive. So if you have money in one account, and if they're very proactive about letting you know, gosh, if you move this over to your other account, you could be making a little more interest on it, and doing things like that that are just better for you because they want to keep you as a customer. Or how about a home contractor that many houses today are built with, say, a 12 or 24-month some kind of a warranty. And about 30 days before that's up, imagine getting a call that says, let's walk through and make sure everything's okay before your warranty runs out. Imagine if car companies did that as well. Some of them do. Or JackieLawson.com, that's one of those companies that sells online cards. And by the way, their graphics are terrific, and I'd highly recommend it. It's JACQI, Larson.com. And you pay an annual fee. It's a small fee. But you pay an annual fee, and then when a year is up, rather than just automatically renewing it against your credit card, they send you a little note by whatever way you told them you want to hear from them that says, are you sure you want to do it again this year? One of our clients is Vodafone Turkey, and they have a customer bill of rights, and as a result, every single month, if they've dropped your calls several times and it's been a problem, then they actually give you a small credit to make sure that you're not paying for service you're not getting. And after you've been their customer for or 2 years, whatever your contract period is, they remind you that it's time for you to get a new free phone, and you can have any of them you want, but here are the 3 based on your usage you'll probably be the most interested in. We can help you choose one. Or how about this? If every single month you get to be on the service plan that's actually the very best one for you, because they're the only ones who can figure that out. None of us as customers can figure it out. And it's the advantage that they have by being your provider. None of their competitors can figure it out for you either without having that information that you've been accumulating by being their customer for a while. So I think those kinds of companies are the ones that are not just thinking about how do I make the most I can from each of my customers this quarter, but instead are thinking how do I keep these customers longer and grow them bigger, and how do I make their lives easier, and how do I use the right tools to make that happen and just make it a better experience.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. So, Martha, as you were talking towards the end of your presentation, there was a question that sprang to mind for me when you were talking about acting in a customer's best interests. And I'm wondering, from your experiences, what are some of the things that can be drawn from contact center interactions with a customer to help identify what's in their best interests? What are some ways that the data can be used there?
That's a great question, and one of the things that we've seen at some of the best contact centers are the ones that are able to gather that information and then use it to tailor what they're offering a particular customer. So instead of tacking on a question that's the same one for everybody this month, an offer, product, a discount, or something like that, instead they use different ones for different people. So, for example, USAA Banking and Insurance based in San Antonio, one of the things they do is they have what they call a smart dialogue suggestion. So if you're the customer and you call them for any reason, it's an unsolicited call incoming, and then they will, of course, handle the question that you have or whatever. But by the end of the call, they also have come up on the screen what the one question is that we want to ask this customer so that we can serve her or serve him better in the future. And so that kind of intelligence makes it possible for them to do things that somebody else who's just sort of handling everybody the same way and treating everybody the same can't do. And customers really do appreciate it. We've seen that if customers, for example, if they trust, I mentioned a cell phone example before, that in the U.S., if customers can trust their cell phone companies, they're willing to pay up to $11 more a month. If they trust their health insurance companies, they're actually willing to pay a couple of $100 more a year. I mean, these are remarkably valuable ways of building relationships. Customers are willing to pay a little more if they know that they don't have to keep watching every minute and they're not going to get ripped off.
Great. That's a great example. Thanks. Martha, can you also expand on how companies can share call center information with marketing? What are some of the ways that information can be used by marketers?
Yeah, that is a great question, and I think that it's always so hard, isn't it, to manage the people and the stuff and the machinery of the organizations that we're in, keeping in mind that, of course, customers don't see, they're not interested in the pieces that we're running, but only care about the total experience that they have. And so I think that it's not just a matter of how can the call centers that are getting all that data share stuff with marketers, but how can marketers help the call centers be smarter too. So who is it that's not only listening in the call center, but who's listening on social media, and how can we draw that into what we're doing in the call center, and how can, so those kinds of examples are very, very telling. But I think that idea of what marketing can do in terms of mass customization, responding to social media, and then using that data to help make what we're doing in the call center more timely and more customized, and then likewise what we're learning constantly in the call center and bring that back out. I do a lot of mystery shopping. I do a lot of, well, frankly, shopping, and I'm on a lot of different kinds of media all the time. I'm amazed at how sometimes I will say to someone in a call center, if you would do it this way, it would be so much easier for us out here. And they say, they're just completely uninterested. I said, would you mind taking the responsibility of telling somebody about this, because it would be pretty easy for you guys to fix this. And they just couldn't be less interested. So I think just listening to the suggestions that you're getting from customers are probably going to make a huge difference. And I think that having really systematic ways of connecting that data across the call center, social media, a piece of the action, the marketing piece, if we think of marketing as branding, although marketing, of course, is all of it, but making sure that we're sharing that information about customers in general, customers in segments and groups, and also individual customers where we can actually parse the information out to that level of specificity.
Great advice, Martha. Thanks. So I'd like to remind our attendees that we still have a few minutes. So if you have a burning question you'd like to pose to one of our presenters, please do so. And if you'd like to, just remember to click on the Submit Question button and type in your question and then click Submit. So Xavier, there's another question that came in for you. And Mike had spoken eloquently about the business benefits and operational benefits that Comcast has obtained through the use of Neustar's technology. I'm wondering, could you also share with us or speak to some of the business benefits that other Neustar clients are seeing by being able to identify customers in call center interactions?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Tom. Like Mike said from Comcast, a lot of our customers that are using the Account Link solution are seeing very similar results that Mike is seeing. They're seeing better customer interaction. One of our larger customers of the Account Link service is a large media player that many of us, I'm sure, have used or enjoyed their services. So I would say the KPI improvement is one of the big benefits for Account Link and a lot of our other solutions.
Okay, great. Thanks, Xavier. Appreciate that. Well, I'm afraid we've come to an end. We have no other questions to pose at this time. But if there are any unanswered questions that might come in after this point, we'll be sure to answer them by email. And again, I'd like to thank Martha Rogers, Mike Young, and Xavier Riley for sharing their terrific insights with us today. And thank you all for joining us as well. This concludes Linking Contact Center and Marketing Data for Enhanced Customer Insight, a one-to-one webinar sponsored by Neustar. On behalf of the entire team, thanks for attending, and have a great day.